today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite authors and three of his books. It's Peter Egan and Leanings. And the books are his columns from Cycle World magazine and the stuff that he wrote in the magazine over the years, and they've simply compiled them into these three volumes. So he's got Leanings, he has Leanings 2, and the creatively named Leanings 3, and they're all compilations of his writing. His style of writing is very professional. It's very good. Lots of humor because he writes from a real person viewpoint and a viewpoint of a motorcycle owner. So you really kind of, he's one of us, as it were. We're one of him. However you want to think about it. It's some of the writing is about journeys that he's taken. Some of it's simply about riding around home. Sometimes it's about working on a bike. It's all sorts of kinds of things, mostly about the motorcycle lifestyle, the things that we feel and believe and why we do it. And, which again, puts him on that level of being like a real person that understands. And it's really nice to have somebody that you can read, that you feel like they understand you and that they're similar to you. Sort of feel like you totally hang out with the guy. Not the least of which is that he has a real passion for Triumph motorcycles, and I am that way as well. I really love Triumphs and Bonnevilles and that sort of those things. Although again, his love of motorcycles spans quite a bit more than that. To give you just an idea, so he's got one of his columns is guitars and motorbikes. He says, "How many guitars do you have now?" I asked my old friend David Rhodes this summer when I dropped by for a visit. David is a writer who lives on a farm in Wisconsin, collects vintage electronic guitars. "About 4 dozen, he said. David and I get along pretty well, probably because I'm one of the few people who knows and doesn't bat an eye at the idea of owning 4 dozen electric guitars. He says it's hard to explain to an outsider why anyone would need more than one electric guitar. He says in high school it was hard to explain to my parents why I needed even one. Motorcycles, of course, are the same way, at least for some of us. It's possible to get by with just one motorcycle, I'm told, and lead a fairly normal life. Single bike ownership, after all, is the very thing for which dual-purpose motorcycles were created. To go anywhere, do everything reasonably well. Get yourself a good XL, KLR 600. This was written in 1988. And you can ride to the Arctic Circle on a dusty side of Baja, commute to work, or carve up the canyon all on one bike. You're set for life, right? Wrong. Dual-purpose motorcycle is about 6 purposes too few. If life is to have the proper balance and variety, for instance, if you've got an XL600 in the garage and suddenly take a fancy the idea of polishing and admiring the kind of inch-deep chrome pipes and mufflers only found on old Nortons, Triumphs, ever try to find one piece of good chrome on a modern dual-purpose bike? Or if you do own a Triumph and want to ride to the Arctic Circle, but are not fond of hitchhiking in the cold and living with timber wolves, what if you've got a nice long-legged BMW for touring, but suddenly get homesick for the insane race bike whoop of a high-revving Japanese 4? So that's Peter Egan. I love him. One of my favorites. If you were a Cycle World fan and read his columns in there, then you know what he's all about. And if you have not picked